Good afternoon, and welcome back to Threat Watch, the 15-minute or so podcast from Lumify Cyber, where we're going to talk about a few things that happened this week and see what we can make sense out of. I'm speaking today with my colleague, again, Fred Langston, EVP of Lumify Professional Services. Fred, why are you wearing a jacket?
I am currently in
It's for
lovely
me, right?
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm in actually Plymouth, Minnesota. The Minnesota Hospital Association's annual meeting is going on, and we are here and presenting and uh, trying to support rural health because that's probably one of the most important missions we have.
Yes, it is. And so, were you there this morning when we did our webinar?
I was.
Okay.
That's see, it's both same jacket in both
So,
webinars.
so
So
okay, all right. Well, okay. I thought it was, going to a funeral. I don't know. Okay. I thought that was a good webinar today. I think we did a fair amount of teaching, right? About risk management, how to engage with professional services to get your security papers in order. I thought that was pretty good. What did you think?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people we talk about the things we do, but they don't really know how do I go out and purchase this? How do I look for the right set of offerings? What kind of services should I look for? So it was kind of interesting in that we probably should have done this 25 years ago, this webinar
Yeah,
that we did today. So
we
yeah,
didn't know all this 25 years ago.
true, true.
We were 25 years ago. We were still kind of mounting NFS drives over the internet and stuff like that. We should probably not talk about these
No,
things.
no, it's not.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get to the news. The first thing I want to talk about is Oracle. I teed this up on Monday. From what I can tell, the news keeps getting worse for Oracle, and Oracle is contributing to this by not being transparent at all about what happened. What's your take on this? I mean, I love this. You got to love the Register. Here's their headline: Oracle's masterclass in breach communications: deny, deflect, repeat.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What's your take on this?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty right on the head. What amazes me about what's going on here, everybody believes that Oracle is literally trying to copy the Change Healthcare kind of public notification and a process. Uh, I think it points at a couple things. One, the SEC requirements for this 72-hour reporting are frankly ridiculous.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
I've
agree.
talked to in the last year says, yeah, we've already written our 72-hour letter. It says we're investigating. We don't know anything yet. That's what everybody's letter says because it's true. So we know that that's kind of maybe what's pushing Oracle to put out this, what they're putting out, but they're really just kind of hiding behind the smoke right now. They're not being very forthcoming. We know there's potentially two different breaches. I think the one where they're admitting to privately is the Oracle Health or Cerner, right? Biggest, one of the biggest EHR medical record systems in the United States, and basically where the storehouse of fantastic data that they all want to steal lives. So we know that they're privately admitting to the breach in Oracle Health. And the thing that I found really hard to swallow was, unlike Change Healthcare, which said, we're going to go out and we're going to notify for all of our affected hospitals, we're going to notify on your behalf. Oracle said, yeah, go pound sand, all you hospitals that were just affected, it's on you to
Do
go
it
do that.
yourself.
Do
Yeah.
it yourself. It's all on you. Which, if that doesn't like put the final nail in Cerner, as an EMR, I don't know what will. But they're so embedded, I actually probably think, like Change Healthcare, not much is going to happen. The other one, though, is the Oracle Cloud breach. And this is the one that I think they're vehemently denying. And I don't really know if anybody can say absolutely what happened here because they're just not really being forthcoming. So got these two things both happening. We're getting double smoke screens almost, you might see. But what we're seeing, Texas, for example, says that they think 160,000 people just in that state have had their medical records
Yep.
compromised.
Yep.
I think they're setting themselves up for just ridiculously brutal class action lawsuits. You don't say anything during this. Basically, I think you're providing fuel to that fire. And unfortunately, I think hospitals are already being extorted based on this data. So it's a really bad day for Oracle.
It is. And, again, these, I mean, their wounds are so self-inflicted. I remember before this, the poster child for how not to communicate was Scripps Health in San Diego. Remember that?
Yep.
Boy, they just got bludgeoned for that. So yeah, there's a class action suit in Texas right now, and that's the first of many. And this bit about uh, corporate executions, I think, may be coming up, right? I think somebody's going to pay the price for this because it's going to. I mean, the long tail of this is going to last. And I think that this lawsuit in Texas is probably the first of 50. This is a PR disaster. I would say, too, that the news of today, which will be in tomorrow's News Blast, is about all the evidence that Oracle Cloud has been compromised. And all these researchers are going, but look here. I mean, this is the real data. It's online. It's very detailed. So we're going to have to watch how this goes. But I will remind you, and maybe you remember this, maybe you don't. Do you remember the Oracle marketing campaign? It was Oracle Unbreakable. Remember that?
Yes. Oh,
Do you remember
absolutely.
how long that lasted? There was billboards, right?
Yeah.
Oracle
Yeah.
Unbreakable. Do you remember how long that lasted?
Like a month, I think, or
Like
something.
like 2 days.
2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like under a week later, and they had this huge compromise where they basically had to eat their words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll say this too, and you're watching the stock market. Okay, well, we see what's going on. There's a very interesting thing about when a major corporation like this has a big data breach and they start going into this litigation stuff. Immediately, their stock price will fall, and then later it comes right back
Yeah.
by the dip. Okay, InfoSec professionals know this. That's how we make most of our money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was just kidding about that.
I wanted to mention what I do think is interesting is there is a potential checkpoint breach that's being running through the news, but
And
the
they're arguing
response,
about that too.
yeah, but they actually maybe have a legitimate argument. What they have said is that these particular attackers have gone after everybody who has left Checkpoint
Right.
and still has old
Old
Checkpoint
customers.
document stuff on their thing. They're no longer being protected by Checkpoint, yet they have the data. And that's what they seem to have created a portfolio around. Time will tell whether that is actually true, but I think that's very interesting. And there may be, I mean, if that is true, then maybe Oracle's going to lean into some kind of obfuscation and kind of
Hmm.
game playing here to get through the process. But we'll wait and see. We'll find out.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on. One of my favorite topics is what the federal government is doing. And so there are conflicting stories around right now. So we're going to try and deconvolve this, right? So SLCGP, the State Local Cyber Grant Program, may not be renewed. Okay. Remember when we talked last week, we talked about how responsibilities for infrastructure, risk management, and disaster management were all going to be the responsibility of state and local governments going forward. Okay. And there did not appear to be any funding associated with that. And so I'm thinking, well, the state local cyber grant program is coming up for renewal, and maybe that's how they're going to let states and locals backfill for all the things that CISA was doing for us. And this is up in the air whether or not this is going to get renewed. I mean, what's your read on this? You've been seeing these?
Yeah, yeah. And, there's been a lot of commentary. Some of it I just find amazingly hard to believe. I mean, one of the articles was alluding to, oh, well, they're going to give all this money back, right? They're going to throw all this massive amounts of taxes back, and they're going to be able to do all this on their own. That's not part of any order. That was
No,
not in the EO. That is nowhere to be seen. And where that's coming from,
that's made up.
that's made up. I mean, this is about cutting costs. They're not, that money's going to some other place, probably defense. Not opposed to defense, but this is national defense. Like I said last week,
Yeah.
Iowa cannot go up against North Korea, China, and Russia. Okay, that's just ludicrous, right? To think individual states are going to be able to do this. I mean, I don't know that California and New York or Texas, who maybe have the funding and the resources to do this, I don't see how they're going to do this. And now you pull out the state and local cyber grant program. This is like, well, this is the rug pull. This is
Yeah.
not let's draw down. I mean, I think I said last week, I, in my estimation, it's going to take 10 years for the states to build up a similar set of infrastructure. There's no ramp up, there's no ramp down. It's like, okay, it
And there will not
changed
be a
yesterday.
consistent infrastructure. Everybody's going to do it themselves
Yeah,
differently.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like I know what we're doing in this state and it's okay. We're kind of on a track to reproduce some of those things like information sharing and a volunteer corps to, help with significant disruption, things like that. One state over, everything's completely different, right? But we're all connected with critical infrastructure. I, I'm not sure most people know what the nexus is between your local government, your city, your county, and critical infrastructure. And I don't think Americans are even familiar with that term, critical infrastructure. So here you go. This is your drinking water, your flushing toilet, 911, communications for law enforcement so the cops get to your house before you're dead. Okay, that elections, all that is really critical and it's all handled at the local government level. That's why we need the state local cyber grant program to be there so that they can fund the things that we need to keep the bad guys out of our infrastructure. I don't care if I get a letter from a credit card company that goes right in the trash. But if my kid turns blue and I call 911 and it doesn't work, that's the worst day I'm ever going to have. That's the stuff we don't want to lose. So, balance that with, all these reports from the FBI and CISA and, intelligence community that, the Chinese in particular, but nation states are in our infrastructure waiting to pull that trigger, you know? So now, all that said, okay, today's news, which will be in tomorrow's news blast, okay, and I threw something on LinkedIn about this. Congress wants CISA to take on more of the regulatory responsibilities that have gone to the sector risk management agencies, okay, so like EPA for water, right? They're the sector risk management agency for water, okay, and have CISA potentially administer a 10-year reauthorization of the state local cyber grant program. That's good. That's what's going on in Congress. Maybe there's some adults in that room somewhere working on this. That would be great. All right. But I think it's still up in the air where this is going. So many things going on just cannot be explained from a logic point of view. So we're going to have to find out.
Yeah.
I'm tracking this. I'm going to, anytime there's a news article on this, it'll be in the news blast. Okay, what do you think about Palo Alto and, the furious mapping that's going on right now of Palo Alto exposures?
Yeah, well, it's not just Palo Alto. I guess
It's Juniper too. That's saw that.
Juniper is right in the middle of that too. So what does this indicate to me? It means that there are a bunch of 0 days. They're going out there identifying the systems, and we're about to have like another Hafnium event where half
Yes.
the country gets popped. So, and the other part that just significantly concerns me, we're moving into this trade war era. We've got, global tensions, China wants Taiwan, all these things happening. We're potentially on the verge of some major, warfare,
Yeah.
global warfare. And when that happens, everyone is going to wake up and find out a bunch of stuff that we count on every day is no longer there because they've been stockpiling these 0 days. This one kind of really worries me. It's like this is like the precursor to something, right? So uh, I'm concerned. I'm significantly concerned. Now, one of the good, I guess, good news in quotes, at least the Palo Alto, as far as I understand it, it's their portal, right? When the
Right.
Pan OS portal
Right.
that has the problems, and there is some ways to secure that.
Turn it
But
off to
that's
the internet.
right, right. But that still doesn't mean that there's not a 0 day that's going to pop up
True.
as part of this. That
We don't
we
know
you
what
know
it's going to do
right
if
we
it's out there. Right.
Right. We can secure the logging page all day long, but if there's a 0 day that goes around that, we're in trouble. So, like what we always say, it's shields up, it's monitoring at your highest level
Hmm.
for the foreseeable future until this, if the scanning goes way down, there's a period of time between when it goes down and nothing happens. Maybe we can sit back, but right now, shields up, monitoring at full. If you've got Palo Alto or Juniper, take protective actions and certainly keep your eye on things.
I think you're right. I think there is at least one 0 day that somebody's got in their pocket and they're about to pull the trigger on that, and it's going to be another kind of global event, right? So when I see, and they said there's nearly 24,000 unique IP addresses that are engaged in doing the scanning, the mapping of these exposures, right? This is the reconnaissance phase of the kill chain. Okay. And that means weaponization comes next, right? That's likely underway or it's probably been completed, right? And
Mhm.
that's why they're looking for these. And so if it gets to exploit, all right, delivery, yes, we're going to have another very global incident. And so we're going to work with customers, to help reduce those exposures, implement compensating controls. We're tracking this one. But, I mean, the article spike in Palo Alto network scanner activities suggests imminent cyber threats. Don't ignore stuff like that. When they come out and they say things like this, they're saying it for a reason, right? There's classified intelligence that they declassify so that they can make public, and I'm kind of thinking, we're button up on that right now.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what else we want to say about that except what you said, monitor at the highest level, right? You got to know if there's like doorknob twisting going on, that's important for you to be able to have visibility into that.
Yep.
When it comes to compensating controls, Palo Alto's probably got, I haven't looked, but Palo Alto's probably got some suggestions on this because they know FBI is telling them, hey, your stuff is being scanned out there. What can people do?
Yeah. One thing we do is we always, when we're doing tabletops, we go through a process where we say, you're going to have to shut down internet access for some period of time and put the executives through all the decisions like, does that kill the business? If I'm a healthcare organization, do I start diverting patients? Do I stop manufacturing? So having, something in your tabletop that says we have to, and this is what it would be happen if you lose your firewall, you lose the internet. What does that mean to your
Yeah.
organization? People need to answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to get back to work here, and I'm going to get back to my crowd down here at the convention. But what's our
Oh,
kicker today, Mike? What's
you're
the
at you're at
biggie?
a happy hour. That's where you're going.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I want to talk about a couple of technology stories that are not funny, but they speak to the time in which we're living. So one of these is something bizarre is happening to people who use Chat GPT a lot. Okay, not a huge surprise there. So they're talking about there's this subset of Chat GPT users, and they're talking about Chat GPT, but I think this would extend to generative AI, overall. They're engaged in what they're calling problematic use. And they're saying this is defined in this paper as indicators of addiction, preoccupation, withdrawal symptoms, loss of control, mood modification. Okay, because you're engaging with this thing all the time. And yeah, I can see how it's fascinating. I mean, there's a line between I'm using this thing to speed up the writing of this thing I got to write versus I'm just conversing with this thing all the
Right.
time,
Right.
you know? Okay, and the other one is also no surprise, smartphone addiction is leading to brain rot. Okay. So what they did was they're they took MRI images of people that were really, really heavily, smartphone users, and they asked them to do a simple task. And they said that the addicted smartphone users' brains lit right up, meaning they were so active, it made them less attentive and more easily distracted, right? And the term for that they informally call brain rot. Okay. And I think it's interesting what the recommendations are to not let this happen to you. It's play in the dirt, drink from the hose, right? Go lie down in the grass. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody takes that to heart. Hey, it's actually almost 70 degrees out here today. I'm gonna walk outside in a minute, get a little vitamin D, which we don't get here. My eyes don't
It's
take
snowing
sunlight
here.
anymore. Is it
Snowing here.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Okay, that's it. Sign up for the daily InfoSec Insider News Blast. That's where all these articles show up. Watch our site for events and watch for free security awareness training on last Friday of every month. Fred, have a good time. When you coming
All
back?
right. Thanks, Mike.
When you coming back?
Coming back tomorrow.
Okay. All right. See you later.
All right. Bye.